guys, all right, so what I have here is a sample hat that I was working on today. All right, as you can see at the top, there's a design on top, is a patchwork design that I created today. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take all this apart and I'm gonna come back and just put this bit here back together so you see exactly what I did to get this design. All right, so I'll see you in a bit. Alright guys, I'm going to be showing you how I create that patchwork design on top of the beret. Alright, so my first piece will be the 3x3. Take these two smaller pieces and I'm going to put them together and stitch all the way around. Alright, so this is what this looks like. The next step is to clip your corners. Alright, that's the next step. You're just gonna put your scissors through that and you're gonna cut these. You're only going in the corners. Alright, so that's it. And the next step is to open these pieces that you cut, and you can press that. But for demonstration purposes, I'm just gonna use my fingers and flatten it out. Okay, so that's that step. Then you're going to take the next piece and then you put that right on top of that one and also pin these together. Then I'm going to stitch it all the way around, the same as I did this one. You do the same thing and you clip your corners. This is the pattern here. You get your next piece. Yeah, you put it right on top of this and you go over it and you stitch, and you do the same thing for all the others. Hi guys, I finished with the design here, the patchwork design, and this is what it looks like. I've also went ahead and cut the pattern pieces. And this is the beret band I also cut. I have these leftover felt material from another project. I'm going to be using these to create this. Guys, I've completed cutting all my pattern pieces. I've laid them out here so that you can see. And I'm going to go to the machine and we're going to be working on this patchwork. Alright, so here I am. I have them laid out in the order that I'm going to be taking them. Alright, so at the top, I've cut this strip here. And this is for the top tag. You know, at the top of the beret have a little loop like this. So this is what this is. I didn't do it on the sample, however I'm going to show you. Alright, so these are the two top small pieces again. What I did with this top one, I basically cut it slightly bigger so that when I go to stitch it would be the same size as this one, if that makes sense. So I'm going to find the center. I'm just going to put that right here and give it a stitch. This can be done differently. I just choose to do it this way. So I'm going to take this, and this has to go on top. But first, I'm going to put this into a triangle, and I'm just going to cut this slightly, just a little notch. Alright, and you can see that there. And I'm going to pin this together. So you have that. And we're going to go around and stitch that. The opening that we did earlier, get scissors, and you're going to cut the rest of it down to the corners. Once you finish pressing, your piece should look as nice and flat, just like this. And before we sew this onto that piece, we're going to do the same thing. Put this into a triangle, and you notch this in the direction of that point. Just a small notch. you place it onto the other piece that you just sewn, and once you do that, then you go ahead and you stitch it all the way around. I'm gonna just cut this to the points. Went ahead and clip the corners and press it open. So as usual, one more time before I continue, the next time once I take this up, I would hold this in a triangle way, and then you take your scissors and you just slightly give it a small notch, right? You take your piece, you put it on top of the other one, and you can pin this together. All right, and once you're happy with that, you stitch it all the way around, right? Remember the opening that we did here, and you cut this through to the corners. And once you turn that out, that's another square. All right, and as I said, by the time you press that open, should be the size as this. And then you do the same thing here. Put it in a triangle, slit the center, put it on top, stitch it all the way around, clip the corners, then you cut your corners and you open it. And once you open it, then the next step. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna come back and show you the finished product. All right, the pieces are complete. This is what it looks like now that it's completed. Do now is take my pattern, this is the band, and I'm gonna just put this on top here, making sure that I put this in the right position that I want it to be. All right, so this is the band. I'm gonna take this, and I also mark the front, and notch the front of my hat and the back of the hat, and I do the same on all the other pieces. So with right sides together, I am going to put the band onto the crown part of the hat, and I'm going to stitch this all the way around. Right, so I finished stitching around the hat. So this is what it, and see what it looks like here. So next step, I'm going to just turn this inside out. Is do the same thing with the lining. When I stitch this around, I am going to be leaving an opening. All right, this is the front of the hat and that's the back. So I'm going to turn this lining onto the right side, and I'm going to be putting my notch onto this one and pin that. Do the same. All right, and you pin that. All right, so once you finish pinning your pieces together, I'll go over to the machine and I'm going to give this the same seam allowance stitch right around here. All right, so that's done. The next step is to notch your seams. This inside out as well, and you go through the opening that you left here in the lining, and you bring everything through. What I did, I went ahead and put my label in and I close up the inside. Then what I did, I base around here, and then I'm going to give it a 1/2 inch stitch right around the circumference. Like, share and subscribe. See you next time.